They call it the Hugin Boom.
I would never say some of the awful things that she says to Asta.
Grabs his head for the first time and lifts him off of the ground. And in his mind, Asta does like a goofy scream. Realize that everyone in that building can probably hear me when I'm in there doing my special work on Asta.
Also recorded in our closet. Sorry, neighbors.
Yep.
Now, coverage like no other. Bringing you videos from the event floor. You're watching convention coverage.
Do you guys get out to conventions a lot? I mean, I don't think we've ever had you as guests before.
We've definitely never been to this one. Conventions are kind of a newer thing.
For us, yeah.
Yeah, we kind of started. We did our first one, what, like 2-3 years ago? Mm-hmm. Yeah, this is only year 3 or 4, and I think we're still getting used to it.
It's like a whole new experience for you, or?
It had started to settle into something of a rhythm.
Okay.
And then it happened, so they went away for a while.
Mm-hmm.
I fell out of that rhythm, and it was really scary to get back into it, especially just because I'm not a big planes guy.
No.
But I'm glad we had a smaller one before this one a couple months ago. If this had been my first one back, I probably would have been in a corner panicking by now.
Oh, geez.
So many folks here. It's incredible to see everybody, but it's just, I haven't seen this many folks since I was going to, like, concerts, you know?
Well, we're definitely trying to make sure that people follow the rules, and we're very conscious of that. We actually have the Department of Health on hand.
Yeah, that's, I've been really impressed.
That's good. I'm glad to hear that.
Obviously, there are always going to be shades of terror in my life, but yeah, it's been very well handled here.
Oh, no, I'm glad you guys could be here, and I'm glad you feel safe being here.
Great to be here.
What attracted you to the show? Was it just another gig, or?
Well, I guess I'll field that first because I was, I think, the first person cast. And it initially, from the beginning, it was different. Like, normally when it's just another gig, you get an email that says, hey, can you come here, do this for this amount of time with this director on this show? The email for Black Clover was directly from the director working on it, and he said, I have to cut a trailer by this weekend. Will you lay down an audition? And I did, and he was like, okay, I think this is going to work. We're going to get you scheduled for 2 hours to do this 1.5-minute trailer where we're never going to see your face or lips move, but we need to get it perfect. And when I got that email, I was like, oh, I don't actually know what I've gotten myself into here. But it turned out to be a pretty natural fit, and I did it for 170 episodes, no complaints. So.
Wow.
Yeah,
Is it a director that you'd worked with before that already knew you and what you were capable of, or?
He knew me, but I think he took a shot on me for this. Because previously, we'd worked on a Quiet Show. He ran a section of Hyoka, and we worked together on that. And then he ran a show called And You Thought There Is Never a Girl Online, quite a title. And that was I think my second lead role. And we just had a lot of fun on that. It was kind of a quiet, romantic comedy, and I guess for some reason his next thought was like, I bet that guy could get real loud, and then he made me try it, and he was right.
For me, Noel doesn't show up until like episode 7 or 8, so I was aware of all of the hype surrounding the show. I'd seen that little trailer that you talked about and was so hyped for it. It was a big thing around the studio. Everybody was talking about it, and everybody was kind of like, who's gonna play Noel? And the director just kind of mentioned in passing to me one day, I think I might cast you as Noel. And I was like, but directors sometimes do that. They'll sometimes say, I might cast you as this character, and then they go with someone else because they've got like 1 million people in their head. And so I had to wait until episode 7 or 8 until I actually got the email and I actually came in and he actually said, you're voicing Noel today. And I was like, yay. So that's my story.
So 170 episodes.
170, yeah. A lot.
What are you guys up to now? If you can talk about stuff, I know there's.
I just wrapped up directing one of my first shows. It's called The Dungeon of Black Company. That just wrapped up in December, and I am currently working on some stuff that I can't talk about.
Of course.
I'm up to things. Unfortunately, none of them are Black Clover at the moment because they're on hiatus.
Yeah, I've done a little bit of directing. I can't really talk about much of it, and I'm doing anime at Funimation still. Aletta and Restaurant to Another World is airing right now. Can't think of anything else that I'm in that's airing right now, but doing little anime things.
Right on. So at least keeping busy even through all of this. Mm-hmm. That's good.
Hi.
Hi.
Really big fans of Black Clover and your guys' characters in general. Speaking of quiet animes, Asta is very much not. And I'm not sure what you guys are like in your own personal lives, but I wanted to know if you guys see yourselves in your characters, or if it was like really hard to kind of get into said character, because I know Asta's like very loud and like.
I think the hardest part I had getting into Asta is just his unbridled enthusiasm for everything. There are a few things in my life that you can really get me going about. Like if I'm working on a good Lego set, I'll talk to you about how the piece is actuated for an hour. But to just like wake up in the morning happy to be alive and screaming about it, that was an interesting headspace to get into, and it did take some time. But I think that like having access to that mode has been a pretty important life skill that I've developed thanks to that character.
Yeah, he's very go and nonstop.
So Noelle's insecure moments really resonated with me. I am not a super confident person. So all of her kind of emotional, as she's trying to learn to control her magic, and she spends a lot of time fighting her feelings, even with Asta, doesn't want to believe that there are feelings there, but there are. And it's been really interesting because as she's kind of grown and become more confident in herself, I feel like I have as well, and I feel like she has really helped me. So that's how I resonate with Noelle.
Oh, well, thank you so much.
Thank you.
So I just want to say, obviously, big Black Clover fan, and anybody that stopped watching because Asta was yelling episode 1, you played yourself. You missed out on Peak Fiction. So, yeah, like I said, Asta's yelling, honestly, I love it. I don't see a problem with it. Gets me going, makes me want to lift more in the gym. My question is for Dallas. Since you have to yell, like, a lot in the studio, I always wonder, like, how do you do it so often without your voice your throat getting sore? Lose your voice? Like, is it natural, or do you have a way of preparing for it? Because it's something I think about.
Well, it's a complicated mixture of things because to some degree it is natural. It is my genetics. I have big lungs and a barrel chest. I inherited that from my mom's side of the family. They call it the Hugin boom. It's just my voice naturally sits right about here, and it uses this entire area to make itself louder and push itself forward. So that's I was born with it, baby. Then there was the practice. I did choir growing up a lot, and that teaches you a lot of things about making yourself loud and pressing it forward. So now I've got genetics and practice. And then that learning to sing, I think, was the most important part of not ruining my voice. Because for the most part, when he is screaming, it's just what I'm doing right now, but a little louder. And I can still get louder than that. But like, when it comes to his more, as the series has gone on and he's gotten more in touch with his anti-magic devil, and sometimes when the anti-magic devil takes that control a little bit, and it's not so much Asta there anymore, that stuff hurts. Because that stuff lives here. Like that all is right here. None of that happens in the places I'm used to using. So those episodes are really tough, but the ones that, the day-to-day Asta's just yelling like Asta yells, that's essentially just like weird, messed up singing I'm doing. So it doesn't hurt that bad.
I see. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello.
Hi.
Hey.
Well, I haven't really gotten into Black Clover too often because I just started. But my question is, what's your favorite character line?
I just like whenever she's really mean. I'm not a mean person. At least I hope I'm not. But I would never say some of the awful things that she says to Asta. And it's really fun, especially we like each other.
Yeah, pretty much.
Pretty much. And I would never like call you an insect or anything like that.
And I appreciate it every day.
So that is fun.
And for me, my favorite character line, it switches from time to time as I like stop thinking about Asta and start thinking about Asta again, or what kind of mood I'm in. But today, I'm in an all right mood right now. So my favorite line is one of his comedy lines, and it is the line that he says when he meets Yami. He's at the selection exams, and there's just a bunch of other kids around, and he looks out at this sea of people his age, and he sees an obvious 30-something. And he just goes, well, that must be just a tall child. Like, that's his logic. Is, oh, wow, look at that ripped kid. I'm ripped, too. I'll go talk to him. And he's like, okay, he's scary. He's really scary, but that's okay. You can't judge a book by its cover. Reaches up 3.5 feet to put his hand on his shoulder and just goes, you look really old for your age. You must have had a hard life, huh? And Yami reaches down, grabs his head for the first time, and lifts him off of the ground. And in his mind, Asta does like a goofy scream, and then says, this book's got the right cover. And I just loved that line. This is one of my favorites, I think.
I remember that. It's a pretty good scene. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, thank you for coming once again. My question would be, how do you guys feel about encouraging people to not give up? Because that's kind of what Asta and Noelle kind of established throughout the series.
Just in general, encouragement. I mean, I like to think that I'm a very tenacious person. I am the kind of, I was like a little 10-year-old who was like, I'm gonna grow up and be a voice actor. And I made it happen because I didn't give up. And you know, there were people that laughed in my face because I'm a very shy person. And actors are usually very big and very loud, and I am not. So I believed in myself, and I didn't give up. And I think that if people are really passionate about something, and they try and try and try and try, they are eventually going to make it.
I guess for me, it kind of, I kind of felt like I was just sort of moving through life, doing whatever fell in my lap, whatever job was easy to get, whatever classes were easy to pass. And voice acting was just one of those. I've been an actor for a while. Somebody knew that Funimation was located near where we were. They told me to go put my name on the list and try out, and I put my name on the list and I tried out. And when I say that, people get a light in their eyes, but they don't do that anymore. So sorry, they don't do that process anymore. But that's how I got in, and I don't think I ever really had a concept of fighting really hard for a goal until I met this kid, this character, and had to sort of learn how he thinks and feels. And I feel like it's made me somebody who gets out of bed in the morning for a reason rather than just because that's what you're supposed to do. And I'm really grateful to him for that.
Cool. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Hi. Like someone else who asked the question, I'm pretty new to the series, and I wanted to ask if either of you had like a specific scene that you enjoyed recording or something, like a scene that you just enjoyed in the show.
I'm gonna say Noelle's big scream. Noelle did get to do one big Asta yell. I was very, very nervous going in. I was literally shaking, and I practiced at home. I just like went in my closet and screamed. to see if I could do it. And I remember getting it, not the first take, but on the second take, just this big, and it lasted several seconds, and it felt so good to just scream. And that is my favorite Noelle moment.
My favorite Asta moment is, it's kind of weird because I didn't do much as an actor, but it's just the moment that's very cool. It's the first time he wakes up the devil and makes the deal for the power. And when he comes to, he is still unconscious. The stuff that comes out of his mouth is just the mechanical actions of heavy breathing during a fight. There is no vocalization in the episode 63 fight between him and Ladros, and I just really liked that. It's so different than everything he does, because the whole series, he's coming out fast, hard, he's got two hands on this big, big sword, he's screaming and swinging at you as hard as he can, and when he wakes up without waking up, and it's just that devil, the sword is in one hand, his mouth is closed, and he is just walking. Like, it's very cool. Definitely my favorite.
Thank you so much for sharing.
Thank you. Howdy, howdy.
Hey.
My question was, going into the most recent arc in the anime, obviously no spoilers for the manga, like the Spade Kingdom arc, did you guys like think you were gonna go at it differently because it's like 6 months later, or like were you thinking differently of how you're gonna make them sound, or was it just the same old deal? Like, did you think, oh, he's bigger now, so was there any difference for that for you guys?
I don't really know if it's that noticeable because we didn't get to spend a whole lot of time with him in the anime, because it, like, basically the time skip happens, we take a few minutes to walk around in the time skip, and then movie. Like, it's kind of tricky, but I definitely went into the post-time skip stuff with Asta like, okay, I'm gonna chill him out just a little bit, because this is the only chance I'm gonna get, and thankfully the director was willing to let me do that. So yeah, post-time skip Asta for me is more chilled out. He has less to prove in my mind. I feel like once Asta can get up on that sword and Silver Surf his way across to the Spade Kingdom, I don't think he feels like he's missing anything anymore. Like the phrase, I don't have any magic or whatever, he doesn't say it anymore, and people don't say it to him anymore. Like, he is fully a part of the universe and on par with everyone else who's ever met him, and they appreciate it too. So he's chilled out. He's not proving himself to anyone, unless Yuno's there. But like, yeah, the only thing I really changed, and that I'm so glad I was allowed to, was that he's just a little more confident and relaxed. He doesn't feel as emotionally scrambly as I think he felt to me before.
So Noelle's Japanese voice actress, I didn't notice any vocal changes, so I didn't make any, like, I'm not like, I'm gonna make her voice deeper or anything like that. I did notice in the Noelle Vanica fight, the stakes are raised, and Noelle, she's gotten mad, you know, in fights before, but this was a whole new level of anger and rage. Like, her friends are in danger, and they've never been this in danger before. And so I got to kind of dip down into some rage that I don't think I've ever done with another character, and just do some really guttural screams that
Feels good, don't it?
feels really good. Yeah. So that's different, I guess. Just
Yeah,
more
I feel
angry.
like that arc had a lot of characters showing a lot more emotion
Yeah.
than
yeah.
they were before. Cool. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello.
Hi.
I know in a lot of voice acting work, sometimes characters can come off really close to each other. In your career, like, doing takes and everything, have you ever slipped into different characters or have one character come out of another type situation?
Yeah, no, yes, I don't know, does that happen for you? I'll
I have you go ahead and answer the question, and then I'll put my little twist on it with my, you know.
It's not necessarily that I'm like, oh, suddenly I'm Noelle or whatever, but sometimes if I'm playing, you know, a cute, kind of innocent, ditzy girl, I'll kind of, because I try to make every character a little bit different, because everybody's different. And I'll just kind of slip into, oh, she's getting too high, too cutesy, she's sounding too much like this other character. Or it was something I noticed working on Restaurant to Another World, Aletta, recently. I got a little too big and too manic because I try to keep that show more down to earth, because it's a very light, comfy show. But I was working on something else that was high energy. And so I brought that high energy into this low energy show. And so sometimes that happens.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, if you've got a session with a low energy character and then you're coming into a high energy character, it can often take you a while to recalibrate where you need to be. But the most common complaint that I get from directors is not that I am doing the wrong character, it's just that I sound too much like me. That is, I think, the trick about voice acting that a lot of people don't really understand, is that the voice part is kind of secondary. The most important thing is the acting, and therefore I don't do a lot with my voice. Most of my characters sound more or less like this. I can take it about a half step up, or I can take it about a half step down, but that's what I've got. I've got this. I don't have a lot of vocal range, and so the note I get from directors is often like, that didn't sound like Asta, that just sounded like Dallas. Can you do whatever tiny thing you do to your voice to make it Asta for this next one? And I'm often like, ugh, can I? Because I don't know what that is anymore. It's just something that happens.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Is there something you've done in the past that was a complete departure? I mean, like you're saying your vocal range is limited. Has there been something that you've done in the past, or maybe something in the future that's going to really test what you can do?
Actually, just recently, I think that there was for me. There is My Hero Academia. I have 2 characters in that, and when Colleen brought me in for the second one, she was like, this is your second character. I played Shota, Nirengeki Shota first, and then next I played Honenuki, the Teeth Man. I don't know his other name, or his given name, but he had a very different voice at the start because he was far away from Nirengeki. But then this kind of most recent season, they're doing a competition arc, and everybody's involved. And one of my characters was the leader of his team in his episode. And then I think the next week, the next episode, is my other character being the leader of his team. And so I go into the booth and I'm like, so what happened? Do we just need to get all of this again? And she was like, no, it's your other guy, and we need to change his voice now. Because he sounds like, initially for Shota, it's just kind of, you know, he's kind of a timid sort of guy. But then his whole vibe changed when he came back for his arc, and so his voice shifted from like, hey, I'm, you know, Shota, I'm not really sure I should be here, to like, hey, I'm Shota, and we gotta get this done. And then like the next guy came up, and his voice, when I initially met him, he was just a kind of annoying dude being obnoxious. So he just kind of talked a little bit like this. And she was like, we cannot do that for a whole episode. He is a strategist. We were wrong about what he was. And I was like, okay, we'll change it. And so that shifted to like an entirely lower than I've ever done. And I'm not convincingly doing it now because it took me 35 minutes to find it the first time. But he just kind of sounds like this, and he's very chill, and he's Warburton at times, but I don't know what I was doing to make that happen. And this is
did you say Warburton-y?
Yeah,
like
Warburton.
Patrick Warburton?
Yeah.
So you're over there doing your thing, and
yeah, it was just like he had a little bit of like to him, you know, just that that sound, that vibe, and it was very different, and it was back to back, and it was so weird. What about you?
I think Noelle was one of the first big tsunderes that I played, and that was really interesting. I remember I played a lot of like little girls and kind of sweet, innocent characters. And so the first time someone was like, I need you to be a jerk, I was like, how do I do that? I'm not a jerk in real life. Like, I don't know how to sound like mean. So that was a departure. And then also I played a character named Rika in a show called Gridman. And she's just more kind of chill and kind of done with everything. And that was very different for me because I, like I said, play a lot of high energy characters, or tsundere, which is usually kind of high energy anyway. So to just kind of be like, ugh, you guys, whatever, was really fun.
I would actually like to piggyback off of that for a second and talk about the kind of in-universe, not sequel, but companion, Dynazenon. That was also quite a departure for me. Yomogi's just a regular teen boy. There's nothing that wild about him, but like, I don't think I've ever played a character who was so bad at having a crush. Like, it was so difficult not to sound as annoyed with the character as I was, I think, when doing some of those reads. Churro will always get me. Like, I think the biggest departure in that series is that there are moments in that show that feel like it was shot in live action. Choices that were made that, like, I don't think anyone else would make other than Studio Trigger. There is a scene where the girl he has a crush on is just quietly eating a churro on her own at a water park. And he walks up, beat, beat, beat. So you're eating, huh? Beat, beat. Yeah, I didn't have breakfast, so beat, beat, beat. Churro, huh? Yup. Horrible. Absolutely soul-crushing to record. It's the funniest thing I've ever seen, like, on TV, but being involved with it was really challenging because I kept wanting to be like, so we can't, like, shorten those pauses or anything, huh? And nope, no we can't. Do it. Ask her about the churro, but not yet. Like, it was weird.
So not just the voice itself, but just the overall timing, the cadence.
Yeah.
I can see that.
Both of you guys, when you were in the booth or wherever you record, what would you say is the hardest thing for you both?
The first answer that pops up in my head is just the air conditioning. I'm a very cold person, and everybody gets really hot in those booths except me. And so I'm often just wrapped up in a blanket shivering while I'm recording, and it's hard. It's hard because you can't talk like this when you're recording, but that's what I feel like. This is probably not the answer you were expecting, but I get cold, and that is the hardest thing I have to overcome.
The thing that is hardest for me is an illusion that was shattered at one point, violently and suddenly, as I was walking the halls of Funimation, and I heard through a door. I'm walking down a hallway, and I hear through a door, through another door, in a soundproofed studio box, I hear someone singing, not even that loud. And in that moment, I realized that everyone in that building can probably hear me when I'm in there doing my special work on Asta. And that was like, oh. And then we went to remote recording for policies, and suddenly it wasn't everyone in the building, it was my neighbors, and that's worse. So the hardest thing for me is just knowing that I've got to get in there and blow the doors down, and that folks are just gonna hear it if they're home, and that's just gonna be part of their life for today. So sorry.
Just speaking of recording from home, I had a character a couple weeks ago that had to scream mommy really loud, several times.
In distress.
In distress. Mommy!
So bad.
Our neighbors don't know what we do.
Oh boy.
Yeah.
I have no idea what they think of us.
I can tell you one thing. They don't care.
Never complain.
I just feel like all the stuff we've done, all the magic yelling that we've had to do in that booth, the various noises we've had to make, they don't care. I feel like someone would have shown up by now. Like, police would have arrived to be like, hey, are things chill? But, like, nothing has happened. Nobody so much as knocked on our door. So, like, eh?
That's impressive.
Well, thank you.
Thank you.
CPS.
Hey, nice to meet you guys.
Hi, nice to meet you too.
So I just started watching Black Clover about a year ago. I started a little late, so I was watching it on Toonami, and I basically watched the last 30 episodes, but it's really good, and I'm gonna eventually go back and start from the beginning. So,
Oh, nice.
My question is, if you could play a different character than your own, who would you want to play in the series?
Charmy is usually like a pretty quick and easy answer of like, who's your favorite character? But now I'm really thinking about it. What is Megan's character's name?
Megan's character's name is Gray.
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 Gray seems fun.
Gray does seem fun.
Just a lot of the.
Yeah, so many fun reactions for that character. For me, I've got a couple. Klaus from the Golden Dawn. I just love Aaron Roberts. I love the characters that Aaron Roberts gets to play. Like, that sort of, ew. Like the arrogance that grows on you and sort of starts to melt away as he realizes that he's not as strong as he thinks he is. Like, Klaus is a great arc. And then he works to get even stronger. I'll talk about Klaus for hours if y'all let me, but I won't. Yuno would be fun just because I've never had an opportunity to do deadpan like that. I think that would be an interesting opportunity. And then there's a character named Marks that Aaron Dismuke plays, who is the assistant to the Wizard King. And he is just this put upon, overworked, impossibly bedraggled and frustrated man, and just the energy of like him busting into the room and being like, you haven't signed one piece of paperwork today, like that energy is so fun, and I wish I got to embody it every now and then.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi.
Hey.
What was your favorite battle scene to either work on or watch? Either way.
I really enjoyed the Vanica stuff. Really, anytime that Noelle breaks out like a new transformation is really cool. I just remember a guttural, I think it's as Vanica's leaving with Laura Pechka, just a really guttural Vanica that felt so good. Also recorded in our closet, sorry neighbors.
Yep.
That one felt good.
I think my favorite battle is one that I had nothing to do with as an actor, but I was in the director's chair for half of it, and that is the fight between Licht and the Wizard King. So good. I think that episode is the one that you show people that the last thing they heard about Black Clover was that it was overhyped and dumb. Because that was definitely, I think, the thing that was being said when the show first got announced. At least over here in the West. I don't have any sense of what the hype was like in Japan, but over here I know because I was looking for the buzz, because I had been cast, I was kind of disappointed by the buzz, but like, I think that episode is the one that you show people that are like, oh, Black Clover, isn't that like kind of dumb and the kid just yells a lot? And it's like, yeah, the kid does yell a lot, but sometimes this happens. And then you just show them one of the best animated fight scenes I've seen in a good long time. It is light versus time. How cool is that? That's an incredible clash. Like, time versus the thing that moves fastest in the world, awesome. Very good fight. My favorite for sure.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm gonna be honest, I haven't really watched Black Clover. I'm here with my sister.
Okay.
But I had a question. I want to know if you all have a favorite anime, whether it's an anime you guys worked on or an anime you guys watch. If you guys have a favorite.
My answer is always Hyoka. It is an anime that I was a fan of before I ever became a voice actor. Didn't audition for it, just one day I was called in and the director's like, hey, you're gonna play this character in this show. And it was my favorite character in my favorite show. And I was so hyped. I cried a little bit. I was that excited. And it's a really beautiful show. And I fell in love with my husband working on that show. So it's beautiful and to me and my favorite for many, many, many reasons.
Hi, husband here. Ditto, obviously. But it would be boring for me to say all of that again, so I'm just going to say a few words quite loudly, and those words are Monthly Girls Nozaki-kun! Every day, all day, favorite of all time. I've seen it 3 or 4 times all the way through, and when I watch it, I usually watch it over the course of a day or 2. I love that show. Oh, so good. Sorry, now I'm thinking about it.
Thank you for answering the question.
Thank you. Gave me an excuse to think about Monthly Girls Nozaki-kun. Oh, it is a slice of life comedy about a young girl who is in love with a senior in her high school. And when she does the love confession, she can't get the words out right. And so what she says is, I'm a big fan. And so he stares at her for a moment. And then there's a moment of recognition, as if he realizes what she's trying to say. And he reaches into his backpack and pulls out an autograph placard and signs a name and says, like, thanks for your support, and hands it to her. And she's like, yay! I'm so happy. And then she's walking home staring at this thing, wondering how it happened. And then she realizes she recognizes the name. And she runs into her room and she looks at her manga shelf, and it is full of this series that she reads, the shoujo romance series that she loves. And she realizes that Nozaki has not signed his name. He has signed the name of the author of this series. And she realizes that Nozaki-kun is a secret shoujo manga creator. And so she decides that in order to get close to him, she'll ask him to work on the manga with him. And then she realizes that that means she's going to have to spend a lot of time at his house, and that makes her nervous. And what if he's had other girls at his house helping him make the manga? That would be a nightmare. And it's just the various people that help him bring this manga to market every month, and her relationships with them, their relationships with each other, and her just never managing to get those words out. I think he signs 2 or 3 more autographs for her throughout the course of the series. So good. So good. Okay, sorry.
No, it's good to see that passion.
Hi, I was just wondering if you guys had a favorite opening from Black Clover.
Do we have the same answer?
Black Rover.
Black Rover.
Black
Yeah.
Rover.
So good. That, like, discordant piano in the beginning.
Yeah.
It's, like, so not really part of the song, but I love it so much. It just, that's how I know the song is about to start, is that the piano guy is getting warmed up.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So something quick I just thought about. So if you had to think of a fight between a character from Black Clover, any character, versus an anime character from another universe, what would you choose? Because I've always wanted to see, like, ever since the fight you were talking about earlier with Julius, ever since I saw that fight, I just really thought, how cool would it be to see him fight Gojo?
Fight who?
Gojo from Jujutsu Kaisen.
Oh, wow, yeah. That would be cool.
I would watch Marileona fight anyone. I love Marileona, but I feel like she could take on a Goku or something. Like,
she probably wouldn't win because he's overpowered, but
But
she put up a good fight.
she put up a good fight.
Yeah, she would almost kill him a couple of times, and then he would come back stronger than ever because that's what they do in that series, and it would just be over for her because you can't. He's just gonna keep getting stronger, and as soon as she knows that about him, she's never gonna kill him. She's just gonna keep almost killing him so that he'll get way stronger and she can fight him again.
Yeah.
Mereoleona could and would fight anyone. I was thinking about putting Asta up against someone, but then you're getting into the rules stuff. Like, his thing is anti-magic. There's no evidence to support that his anti-magic would work on Dragon Ball Z's Ki or Naruto's chakra or any other anime's system. He might not negate that. He might just be a buff boy with a sword. And plenty of other animes have that, but the sword boy can also do fire. So, like, Asta, I don't think versus anyone. I would like to see Julius take on anyone, because I just don't see how you beat time. Like, if you take Julius, the only reason Julius lost that fight is because he was defending the Clover Kingdom. He was doing his duty as the Wizard King. He sacrificed himself for the nation, as was his job description. If you remove him from the Clover Kingdom and you put him in, like, a time chamber where nobody's gonna get hurt and nothing will be destroyed, I would love to see what it looks like when that guy with no restrictions can just go all out. So yeah, Julius versus, because I mentioned the time chamber, I'm gonna say Vegeta, because it's just fun to watch him get hurt.
It's actually funny you say that about Asta's anti-magic, because I also thought, like, how effective would it really be against a person that's not using magic? And I've seen people even say that he could beat Gojo because he could cut through the Infinity, and they said the Infinity's magic, and I'm like, it's not magic. That's
Yeah, exactly. You have
like,
no
that's curse
evidence for
technique.
that.
It's not the same thing.
It's Ki.
Yeah.
It's Ki. It's not magic.
Yeah,
You're wrong. Sorry. Yeah, take that to the bank. Next time that happens to you, you tell them Asta's voice actor says they're wrong.
All right, thank you.
Down the street says you're wrong. I have a feeling you've thought about this at length before.
Yeah. I worked on Black Clover as the lead for 5 years, but I was the assistant director for 3. So I have worked on Black Clover for more hours than anyone else in that building, probably anyone else in America. So yeah, I've thought about it very deeply.
Hi, I know you also voiced Zack from Angels of Death. I was wondering if there was one thing, like a line that Zack says that you would have Asta say, what line would that be?
Unfortunately, I don't know the language rules at this panel. I can't quote a lot of Zack lines. There is one thing that I thought was really funny and a great Zack line, and it was the moment where I realized that this guy as a character meant everything that he said. Like, all of his thing about how he didn't want to kill this weird, creepy doll child that does not have joy. He wants to kill people so that they can no longer have joy. That's his deal. And there is a moment in the series where he gets really happy and excited and joyful. And he says to Rei, that just makes me so happy. It makes me so glad. I want to. He takes his scythe and he just does. He just right there, just right in the stomach, he just does. And for the rest of the series, he's incredibly injured. And he did it on a whim because he was punishing himself for having too much fun. It was so weird and so Zack. And like, that is the scene that I think of when I think of that character, because that is the scene that like made me realize that was the scene that made me realize, oh, he hasn't been lying or rationalizing or justifying. He's been being honest about who he is and what he wants. Also the scene where he gets electrocuted, because that was just fun. That was just fun to do. Just shaking around in that booth, my face all tight. That was great.
Thank you.
Thank you.
If you could use any Black Clover magic or anti-magic in real life, what would it be?
I used to say Charmy. Hands down. But her stuff has changed a bit recently. And I don't know that I want everything that comes with being Charmy right now as it pertains to what she is in the manga. Because she's really strong, but I don't know how much control over that strength she's really got. I think for me, it's either Gray transformation magic or Julius's time magic. Because time magic, just the practicality there. I don't like airplanes. I could pack a bag, freeze time, and hike to my next convention. Like, that would be great. But yeah, that's me.
For me, it's Mimosa, mainly because I kill every plant that I buy. I cannot keep any plant alive. So I would just cover my apartment with beautiful plants because that is my aesthetic, that is what I want, but I cannot attain. Also, I think it's great that she can heal herself. I'm the kind of person that wakes up with like 20 different bruises, and I'm like, how did I get these? Because I just bump into stuff. So it'd be really nice to just heal myself.
I'd probably choose Asta or something. Anti-magic or something.
Yeah, the anti-magic, like, it's really cool, but
Yeah.
what do you use it for here? Just big sword.
Yeah.
Yeah, now you have a big sword. You
And
can go
demons
buy one
flying
of
around
those.
inside you.
You can have whatever magic you want and then go buy a big sword.
Yeah.
I don't think anybody has asked this yet, but how did both of you get into voice acting?
Like I said, I was that weird 10-year-old that was like, I'm going to be a voice actor when I grow up. And I lived a lot of places because I was a military kid, but I worked throughout high school, college, saved up a lot of money, moved out to Texas as soon as I could because that's where Funimation was, and waited patiently for them to call me in. I would do all of these little networking things, but finally I got called in. So it's kind of a boring story, but well, now I was gonna say you have to live near the building to work there, but not anymore because the remote recording is really big. So we've got people all over America, even people in other countries working on anime right now. So. Yeah, all you need now is a good microphone and good acting skills.
And a good internet connection.
Yeah.
For me, it is an equally boring story, but it's also an opposite. I was born in Maryland, and then when I was about 8 years old, around the year 2000, that General Motors plant that my father worked at in Maryland shut down, and they offered him a choice. He can go to Detroit or he can go to Arlington, Texas. And he chose Arlington, Texas, which turned out to be good because the GM plant in Detroit closed like a couple years later, and everybody that went to Detroit just ended up in Texas. And I think that plant is still in operation. But I just lived here since I was 8 years old, 35 minutes away from the Funimation building, never knew it, watching anime my entire childhood, being like, yeah, that would probably be cool. It being kind of the reason that I started acting, and just never really thinking that I was ever going to do anything professional with it. But I was in college doing a play called The Importance of Being Earnest. It's a very college and high school play. If you've been to college and high school, chances are your school has put it on at least once while you were there. And I was the lead in that play, and I was like, yeah, this is interesting, but it's a show I've done before, and I'm worried that if I keep doing theater, I'm just going to keep doing the same shows over and over again. And a guy I worked with in the bookstore there was like, well, I mean, if you're any good, you could try out for Funimation. And I was like, I don't have, like, I'm not going to buy a plane ticket to go try out for anime. That seems ridiculous, just to try it out. And then he was like, no, and he pulled it up on Google Maps, and he's like, it's here. Like, if you leave after work, you could get there. It would be easier to go here. It would be faster to go to Funimation than go home tonight from where we are right now. And I was like, huh. oh, okay. And so I put my name on the list that they do not have anymore, and 6 months later, my name came up on the open call. I went in, I had Colleen as my auditioner, which was so intimidating, because it's like, you walk in the room, and even if you're not a big anime fan, you hear her voice, and you go, oh man, I think that's Luffy. And then you have to sit down in front of her and try to do her job. Like, that was bananas. But I finished the audition. I felt terrible about it, and then a week later, I got called in for a role. So, all right. And it's just kind of been happening since then.
Thank you.
Thank you.
It's interesting. Like, some people go the audition route, some people just kind of fall into it, and yeah, but it is unfortunately that time. But thank you very much for being here. It's great to have both of you here, both Dallas and Jill. Thank you. Give them a big round of applause, everybody. Coming here.